Croeso nôl. Welcome back. This is Flying Bridge Theatre. Dyma cwmni Theatre Pont Hedfan. Pont being the bridge and Hedfan being Flying Bridge. Flying Bridge, many of you may have seen the amazing transporter bridge in Newport because that's where the company are based. We're a bilingual company based in Wales, and I'm Tim Baker, one of the co-artistic directors of the company. Our vision and mission and our profession is to make theatre shows in buildings, touring, on stages, and COVID-19, thanks very much, has closed all of them, more or less. So many people in our profession are totally adrift with no work, no possibility of work, and theatres closing, laying off their staff all over the country. Our industry is nearly destroyed. We've been trying to respond to that situation, and we've been working with the Arts Council of Wales, and we've received some money now on the basis of what we hope is an innovative concept to make theatre without stages, as in theatre in a virtual context. And they've invested in us, meaning that Welsh theatres can now have this material to live stream to their audiences at a time when their stages and their auditoria are sadly empty. To do this, I and the other co-artistic director of the company, Dan LLewelyn-Williams, have created the Flying Bridge online repertory company. Dan and I write the scripts, and with our company, we rehearse and record a new half-hour audio drama to be delivered to you each week. I should have mentioned, we're working remotely from home. From across Wales in our personal studios, our company are all recording a live performance over the internet, which is then mixed by our technician Wills. We press record at the beginning and press stop at the end, so what you'll be hearing is as close to a straight-through theatre show as we can get. Astrid Investigates is 21 episodes, each one a unique story featuring the heroine Astrid Price, who's a female gumshoe detective in an alternative Wales of the near future. You've joined us for episode 6. Look out for the Welsh language episodes later this year, and if you're joining for the first time, don't worry, each episode stands alone. Dan and I write the scripts, which were inspired by the short stories of Alan Roderick, and I did the music too. I'll introduce the company before we go any further. Broadcasting from Swansea is Manon Eames. Manon plays Astrid the hero. Manon, are you in character or just getting into character?
No, I'm getting into character.
I'm
just getting ready now. I've just finished my cup of
tea. Oh,
tea.
That's great. That's like Elton John's famous warm-up before he goes on to sing in Madison Square Gardens. He says, and goes on to sing. Live from Newport is the other actor, co-writer, co-artistic director, co-everything else, Daniel LLewelyn-Williams. Dan, is there anything else you could do? You co-do?
Well, hiya, Tim. I'm actually getting into character now. All 28 of them.
Okay.
Simultaneously.
Does that involve a lot of trousers?
Huge number of trousers. Oh, can I say, while we're here, by the way, a double thank you to the Arts Council of Wales, because they, what they've allowed us to do is just, it's a dream come true. Great.
So, Wills is in mould but doesn't have a microphone. If he did, you'd hear him saying hello, and I'm the director, Tim Baker. So let's kick off with episode 6 of Astrid Investigates. This episode is called Where Are You, Max?
All over the city, one by one, cats were disappearing on an epidemic level. Every day, more home-scrolled posters on lampposts and bilingual road signs around town, everywhere, with their sad little messages and their spelling mistakes.
Has anyone seen Rembrandt? A black and white cat missing for the last 2 days. Reward offered. Please phone this number.
They make me feel uncomfortable, their forlorn, furry faces staring out at me, lost and friendless, alone in the world. My heart aches for them all. Would they ever find their way back home? I'm reminded of Henderson, my dearest tortoiseshell, taken from me all too young. I harden my heart and turn away from the tabbies. I need paying work. Times have been hard since the independent Republic of Cymru broke free from the old Union. I salve my conscience by throwing a few Glyndwrs into any PDSA collection box I pass, and I think no more about the lost pussies. I get back to the office. Well, it's really a double bedsit above a fish and chip shop, the Lion Cod. The chips are terrible, but I get a discount on the rent and the chips. After I solved the mystery of the missing fish cakes, the owner, Stakis Theodorakis, couldn't do enough for me. He and my mother have a thing going. It's pretty sweet. Since Dad left us, all power to her elbow, I say. I peer into his shop and see them flirting over the fryer.
I tell you one thing, Mrs. P. That daughter of yours, Astrid, she's a summer detective.
Ooh, ain't she just, Stakis? She's a phenomenon, man. Oi, once you don't bruise my rissoles. Oh, and I'll have a pot of that curry sauce and all. I got a hell of hunger on me tonight. Must be my bunions playing up again.
What the hell? Push the boat out, innit? Hey, hey.
They're all over each other, these two are, like gravy on a faggot.
Mrs. P, you want salt vinegar on these chips?
Of bleeding course. Do I look pregnant to you, Stakis?
Only pregnant with possibility, innit, Mrs. P?
Oi, mind your manners, you, and keep your eyes on them rissoles.
I climb the rickety stair to my door. No sooner have I closed it than I open it again to a woman wearing the longest legs I've ever seen.
Mrs. Price?
Miss Price, if you please.
Miss Price, you have to help me. They've got him, and they're going to kill him if we don't do something.
Wow, a real kidnapping case, I think to myself. What an opportunity. Sit down. Take a seat, Mrs.
Ingram. Stella Ingram.
She nearly swoons and moves closer. I step back. A Jessica Rabbit routine isn't going to work on me. Ingram, you say? You are not Carlos Ingram's widow, are you?
One and the same.
Carlos Ingram was one of Wales's most notorious gangsters. Do I really want to do a job for the mob? I'm sorry, Mrs. Ingram. You'll have to leave. I don't get involved in taffy affairs.
I'm out. Free. Since Carlos's suicide.
Suicide? I thought he was found at the bottom of Llandegfedd Reservoir, wearing a pair of concrete boots.
Yes, like I said. Suicide.
Oh, yeah, of course. Suicide. Well, anyway, it was an awful business. I'm terrible sorry. You must be devastated, Mrs. Ingram.
I lived in fear of Carlos. That's why I turned to Max. And thank goodness, my passion for Max is the only thing that has kept me sane.
You were with Max the whole time you were married to your husband?
Yes. And now, someone's taken him.
My career could do with a boost right now. If I can return Stella's lover to safety, I'll be back in the game. But why hasn't she been to the Welsh police yet, I wonder? Mrs. Ingram, have you been to the Headley?
Oh, Miss Price, I have, but they can't or won't help. Too busy giving out speeding tickets to catch real criminals, if you ask me. Anyway, a very, very dear friend of mine, Peter Jennings, I believe you know him too. He recommended you.
What does she mean? Very dear friend, huh? What sort of tricks has she been turning with Jenny? Peter Jennings was the head of MI6. He and I had chemistry. What was this strange feeling I felt? Was this jealousy? Sweet Cheeks was talking again.
When I last spent the night with Peter, he told me that if there was one woman in Wales with the balls to solve a case like this, then it was you. My dear, dear Max's life is at stake. You're my last hope, Astrid. The Republic of Cymru's top PI. I've always adored you from the days when you played rugby for Wales. Such a powerful presence, I always thought.
Her sweet lava-bread breath wafts over me as she turns her charms in my direction. This girl obviously only has one tool in her box, sexual manipulation. I'm going to have to keep focused and steer the siren away. I don't want to be another notch on her bedpost. I avoid her as she leans in. So, Stella, is it anything to do with Carlos's suicide? Who would want to kidnap Max?
Well, they haven't kidnapped Max exactly.
Oh, I see. I'd obviously got the wrong end of the stick. OK, Mrs. Ingram, where is Max then?
I don't know where they're holding him, but they're demanding I pay a ransom.
A ransom? I'm confused.
Oh, don't be confused. A ransom is where you pay to have a loved one returned to you. 100,000 Glyndwrs they want for Max.
No, I'm confused because you said he wasn't kidnapped.
He wasn't.
I'm beginning to wonder if Stella and I are even speaking the same language.
And of course, I'm always looking over the fence, checking.
To see if the grass is greener.
No, I'm always looking over the fence, checking to see if Max is just hanging out in the next door neighbour's garden.
Oh, I see.
I'm hoping all this catnapping business is just a hoax.
Sorry, stop, rewind. Did you just say catnapping?
Yes, catnapping. Oh, yes, of course. How silly of me. Max is my cat.
You a cat?
Yes, my cat.
Now is starting to make sense. I suppose most people would think 100,000 Glyndwrs for a cat was ridiculous. But if Max means half as much to her as Henson the tortoiseshell meant to me, then she'd pay twice as much.
Well, I wanted to pay the money straight away, but Peter Jennings said, no, I should speak to you first, Miss Price, if you'll help me, that is. Will you, Miss Price? Please?
A desperate expectancy hangs in the air like a drop goal. I contemplate the risk of potentially stumbling into mob affairs. But what the hell, I got nothing to worry about. They don't make concrete boots with heels anyway. I'll take the case. Tell me, Mrs. Ingram.
Call me Stella.
Not likely, honeybun. In my business, informalities can get you killed. Tell me, prior to his catnapping, had you and Max been doing anything unusual?
Do you mean unnatural?
No, I mean unusual.
Oh, thank goodness for that. Max and I didn't have that sort of relationship, you see.
Glad to hear it, Mrs. Ingram. No, I mean out of the ordinary. Did you go somewhere you would normally go recently?
Oh, yes. Actually, we did do something out of the ordinary. Last week, he was feeling a trifle melancholy, so I took him to the Cat Whisperer.
Ah, the Cat Whisperer.
Yes, the Cat Whisperer. On the corner of Brynhyfryd Road. Cats are us, they're very good, especially Mr. Lymington. What are you thinking, Astrid?
Mrs. Ingram, I try not to think any more. In my business, it can get you killed. You should go home now and make sure you call me as soon as the catnappers contact you again. Here's my card. As Stella walks down the stairs away from my office, I'm reminded of my days as an apprentice cat whisperer. I had learned to speak cat on an open university course. They don't offer that sort of training anymore. They stopped doing real courses to make way for all those Mickey Mouse degrees you see nowadays. Sociology, counselling, history and the like. For some reason, they still offer dolphin though, but that's no use to me, having been brought up first language dolphin speaker. I wonder what I've let myself in for with this case. Where is Max? And how am I going to find him in a city of approximately 162,342 people? What would Philip Marlowe have done? Sam Spade? Peter Falk? No use asking them. They're pushing up daffodils now. I need some exercise. I turn to my Tai Chi. I'm halfway through my salutations, somewhere between the melancholy men of Alech and the dystopian dragon, when suddenly I have an idea. I open the door to my bedsit, run down the stairs, and from the alley next to Stackis' chip shop, I call out, meow! Seconds later, I'm sat on a bin in conference with 5 of the local moggies, Captain, Tench, Pointer, Fizzog and Milf. The poor things look pretty rougher than usual. Once I begin probing them, they open up. They've obviously been through the ringer. Milf, their elected spokescat, addresses me in his native language. For those non-conversant in pussy tongue, Milf basically confirms there's definitely something going on in Cas Newydd. And it's something dark, something sinister. All the missing cats have been catnapped. I do what I do and start with the only lead I have.
Hello, Miss Astrid Price. Mr. Lymington will see you in his office now in a minute. Please take a seat while I just check these patients in.
The white-coated receptionist at Catsaris is a nice young man. As I sit in the waiting room, I see him welcoming the cat owners and taking their pets. He seems extremely attentive and caring as he strokes an obviously distressed and shaking auburn pussy. Then he turns back to me.
So sorry to be a pain. My boyfriend and I are your biggest fans. Could I have a selfie? Gosh, I loved watching you play. Astrid. Oh, them were the days.
It's 10 years since I kicked that winning drop goal against New Zealand. 10 years ago. Feels like 11. I give the man his selfie and damn his impudence, but not before I notice something slightly odd. The receptionist's excessively expensive accessories, particularly those incredible shoes. Patent Prada. Perfect, but for a terrible scuff on the right toe. I've got a few questions for Mr. Lymington, if you don't mind. I unfurled my chartered PIID.
Oh, I'm afraid something's just come up. Mr. Lymington is now extremely busy, I'm sorry. Why don't you come back tomorrow, or next week if you must? Perhaps then he'll be able to find you a slot.
I brushed past him and through the door. Henry Lymington, a tall, broad-shouldered man of a certain age, looks distinctly pleased to see me when I enter his cat-whispering boudoir. He tosses a lock of salt and pepper off his forehead and smiles. He certainly knows how to cut a shape. I keep my mind on business as he saunters over to me.
Oh my word, Astrid Price. Oh my gosh, what an honour it is to have you here at Cats R Us. My boyfriend and I are your biggest fans. Could I have a selfie?
The penny drops. These two are an item. Well, thank you, Doc. But your boyfriend's already snapped a few good uns, and I'm afraid I'm not here to talk rugby glory days. I'm here to solve a case. I show him my badge, and his tone changes too. There must be something in the water.
Is this really necessary, what does that say?
He's apparently having trouble reading my title.
Is that really right? Price.
I arch a well-aimed, unimpressed eyebrow. He recoils.
Oh, sorry. Anyway, what's this about, Ms. Price? I am frightfully busy whispering cats.
I decide to send up a flare. Meow, meow, meow. A second later, I hear a faint caterwaul from an adjacent room. It's a reply of sorts, too faint to make out any words, though. Was it Max, I wonder? Lymington cuts through my reverie.
Ms. Price, if you're just going to stand in my place of work and make fun of me with these ridiculous cat noises, then I'm going to have to ask you to leave. It's about time people began to respect the fine art of cat whispering rather than just mocking it.
Oh, you don't speak cat, Mr. Lymington?
What? How? Well, of course I speak cat. Look. Meow, 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 meow. There, see?
This man is obviously a charlatan, but I'm going to have to play it cool. I don't want him to close ranks. Sorry to take up your time, Mr. Lymington. A few quick questions and I'll be on my way. Do you remember a patient by the name of Max?
Max?
Yes, Max. Mrs. Ingram's cat, Mr. Lymington. Who treated him recently?
I remember. Max! Yes, he was suffering from anxiety due to an acute Oedipus complex and consequent anal retentiveness. We had to keep him in overnight for milking, although he did go back to his owner the next day, cured, as do the many, many pussies that pass through our parlour. Are we done?
Nearly. Do you know anything about catnapping?
Catnapping?
Yes, catnapping.
Well, I'm partial to the occasional snooze, but never while I'm working.
No, I mean kidnapping for cats.
Ah, well, when I worked in London it was common, but here, no, not in the independent Republic of Cymru.
Well, considering there are lost cat posters all over town, perhaps you just aren't aware of it.
Perhaps not. Now, I'm sure even you have got more important things to worry about than this triviality, or perhaps not. Ms. Price.
His patronising gaze scans me from head to foot, and I feel his judgmental eyebrows like a knife. In shame, I pull my moth-eaten trench coat around me.
Oh dear. A long way from the try-line now, aren't we, Ms. Price? If you'll excuse me, I really must be getting back to some meaningful work.
He holds the door as I walk through. I know he feels he's bested me, but I can't contain the growing suspicion that Max is in that building. 2 hours later, and I'm staking out the joint in my yellow Gilbin at a safe distance from cats or us. People coming and going, carrying cat baskets, but nothing unusual. I lean back in the front seat as darkness draws in. I begin to daydream and wonder whether I wouldn't be better employed elsewhere. I drain the last drop of Welsh whisky from my World Cup winner's hip flask, and before I know it, I'm reliving my World Cup triumph. About to kick the winning drop goal that won Wales the Rugby World Cup, although strangely, this time, something's different. Instead of the snarling Maori open side flanker blocking my way this time, I'm sidestepping a whole mob of taffia gangsters. I hand off the consigliere, then drop the ball onto my toe for the kick, the winning score, but an entire Cosa Nostra of taffia foot soldiers tackle me before my foot makes contact. What once were cheers from the crowd now become boos as I lose us the World Cup final. Oh! I wake with a start. My fortune-telling dreams have always been there for me, my defining detective superpower. If my dreams are telling me something, I've learned that it pays to take heed. This must be a taffia affair, perhaps something to do with Stella's husband, Carlos. It's night. I must have been asleep for hours. My mobile phone rings. Hello?
Astrid, it's Peter Jennings. How the devil are you?
Fine, Peter. Thank you for referring Stella to me. I can't tell you how much I needed the work.
That's why I was ringing, Astrid. I wanted to make sure you got the job. That woman can be rather persuasive, you know.
So I've heard. I hope it was worth it, Jenny.
Well, Astrid, can you blame me? Considering the drought I've had of late, you'd understand me getting it where I can.
Is this really why you phoned, Jenny? To try and make me jealous?
No, my dear. You know I would much rather be spending an evening with you, but you always seem to rebuff my advances.
Look, Jenny, it's nothing personal. You and I will have our moment in the sun.
Well, that's good to hear, Astrid. Anyway, I'd heard how you've been a little down on your luck recently. Thought you might appreciate me tossing a bone.
Oh, Peter, perhaps we could draw a thicker veil over the innuendo.
Am I making you blush, Astrid?
Nothing makes me blush, Peter. But I haven't got time to flirt. I'm working a case, and I've got a hunch that the mob could be involved. But I'll keep you posted. Do you still have the Headley in your pocket? Could you sort me out, for old time's sake?
I'd love to sort you out, my dear.
Now, I mean the Headley, Jenny.
Indeed, yes.
Tidy. In that case, be ready and wait for a call to send in the heavies if I even get a whiff of cat business.
Cat business? Rather you than me. I can't stand the ammonia. Anyway, call me if you need assistance. I'm always here for you, Astrid.
Thank you, Jenny. I put the phone down. Suddenly, a van with no lights pulls up to Cats R Us in the darkness. It stops by the loading doors and a stocky man gets out. He looks mean, with a face like a fist. He checks nobody's watching and knocks a coded knock. The loading bay doors creak open slowly and stocky man slips inside before they squeak shut behind him. I sneakily sidestep like a silent centipede up to Cats R Us and listen. I peer through a window. Lights off. They must have been closed for hours. My instincts fire as I hear raised voices behind the door.
Oi, Leamington, you know this wasn't a deal.
The plans have changed, Mr. Marr.
Mr. Maur, I think to myself. I've heard of him. Taffia, one of the Jones cartel's hitmen. My dream. I must be on the right track.
Listen, you Betty. I to decide when the plans to get changed. Do you hear me?
The heat is on. A private detective is snooping around. We have to move the asset, you great oaf.
Would you just to call me? You must stuck-up little snob, you am.
Don't you talk to my fella like that. How dare you? He's a professional whisperer, not a lowlife like you. You can't even speak proper.
You are? Professional? You not a doctor, not a vet, eh? What the hell do you both to do? Cat whispering? You my bloody joke. I'd have got a mind to bump the two of you off. What do you to say to that?
Look, let's just calm down. If we keep the asset here, we may become compromised. We have to act quickly.
The asset? I wonder if that's Max.
If the heat don't just stay off us, we're gonna use these hands on that cat's neck.
But Nigel, he can't. We swore to whisper, protect and cure, not to kill cats.
I know, darling. Hush! Think of the shoes.
You're right. Think of the shoes, innit? Okay. You're right. Okay. I'm okay now.
Right, Mr. Marr. We have to take the cat someplace else, or the others will be traumatized.
Whatever you just say, the Doctor Doolittle. Come on, follow me.
Before I know it, the shutter's open. I dart behind the bins with the agility of a scrum half to conceal myself. Stocky exits, with Lymington and the white-coated receptionist, carrying a basket. From my position in the bushes, I fire a questioning cat at whichever poor pussy is imprisoned in that basket. Meow. My years in the circus as a clown's apprentice had taught me to throw my voice, so they just walk past my hiding place. Then comes a reply. It's Max. His voice is faint, but he's well, a little dehydrated and still slightly anally retentive, but surprisingly good under the circumstances. It's amazing how so much sense can be conveyed through so few syllables, but that's just a part of the richness of cat. The three men climb into Stocky Man's van and set off at a pace. I get into my trusty yellow Gilburn. Click, click, slam, jingle, 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 click, click, vroom, vroom, screech. I pull away and take chase. Stocky Man's driving tells me he's onto me and he knows which side of his steering wheel is up. I follow as best as I can, but his erratic manoeuvres ensure I'm lost within 5 miles. Leaving the city lights and driving high up into the valleys, I turn down side roads here and there, trying to pick up the chase again, but to no avail. I've lost them, right on the edge of the Brecon Beacons National Park. Damn bollocks and triple shit. What to do now? I pull over at the crest of a hill and pound my fist against the dash till my hands hurt. No! I can't let Max suffer whatever fate they have in store for him. I think of Henson, my beloved tortoiseshell, and then suddenly I hear a strange noise outside the car. I don't know how to describe it, but if a pair of mating moggies has ever woken you up, screeching like dying babies in the night, then you'll know that sound, but this time to a factor of 100, right across the valley. I get out and stand at the bonnet of the Gilburn in wonder, trying to make sense of what I'm hearing as I peer into the darkness. Suddenly, I realise what I'm listening to. Could it be? Yes. This is the fabled pussy chorus, a primeval feline hive mind. Eventually, my ear tunes into their pussy patois. I can understand. They're trying to tell me where Max is. They're in the old quarry. I jump into the car. I don't know why it's easier to drive when I just sit still. Within a few minutes, I pull up to the old quarry. It's time to call Peter.
Hello?
Peter!
Astrid! It's a terrible line. I can barely hear.
Damn it! Jenny, can you hear me? I'm in the quarry in the Brecon Beacons, out in the middle of nowhere in the national park.
Astrid! Barely hear.
Peter, Jenny, oh God, they're going to kill the cat, Jenny. Can you hear me?
Round 1:30.
Jenny, I'm calling it in, Jenny. If you can hear me, send the Headley to the abandoned Treville quarry near Bertha Tidyville. If you get here in time, dinner is on me, I promise. I hang up. Jenny was starting to sound like a Welsh learners class. They're going to do something drastic to Max, and I got to do something drastic in return. I can't stand idly by and let him suffer at that taffier hitman's hands. I think of Henson, my beloved tortoiseshell, for a moment. I wipe away a tear and I open the door of my Gilburn with purpose, either to save a pussy in distress or meet my maker. Silently, I creep to the top of the cliff edge, where, in the moonlight, I can see Stocky Man's van 50 yards down, at the quarry floor beneath me, with Stocky, Limmy and Receptiony, all three of them stood next to what looks like a hastily dug grave. The quarry acts as an amphitheatre, and I can hear every word. Stocky's on the phone. To Stella, it would seem.
I dunno, you grassed us up, Mrs. Ingram. You did get a private dick on the job, didn't you? So now I'm going to give you a kitty or 4. Unless you to transfer the money in the next 5 minutes, Max will be moggy marmalade.
He hangs up. He pulls out a gun, aiming it at the cat basket.
Hang on. If she pays up, then we don't have to kill the cat, right?
Well, we wasn't going to keep the evidence alive now, was we?
Darling, do something. You can't let him kill Max. It contravenes the Whisperer's Hippocratic oath, innit? I couldn't live with myself if we...
Shut up, you two. Just follow the flipping plan, will you?
As I listen in, I wonder if my photographic memory could possibly be used as evidence, when suddenly... My bloody mobile phone! What a time to get a call! I muffle it. It's Peter. I tried to text him back, keeping as quiet as possible, but it would appear that my phone has brought Stocky Man running.
Who the bloody hell is this then?
I look up and straight into the barrel is Stocky Man's gun. He smothers me in his dulcet Valley's accent.
Spying, is it? Well, you don't know what we to do with spies in Abersuchan.
It's that detective I told you about. You know, the famous rugby player.
It wasn't the time for it, but I still glowed inwardly. It's always nice to be recognised. I had to stall him. Before you kill me, Mr. Maur.
Oh, so you don't know my name, Snoop? Pretty good. This to mean the game have changed.
Stocky Man turns on all three of us now, his gun pointing between myself, Lymington and the receptionist in turn.
What on earth are you doing, man? We had a deal.
Well, this is what you'd call a deal breaker, Lymington. Now, can't be letting you three to go and tell on me. Do can I? So all three of you are now going to sink in cement sandals. Reminds me of when I did whack Carlos Ingram last year. And now I gets to kill his wife's kitty and all. Come here, Max.
Stocky picks up the basket with menace and opens the door. I scream to Max, meow! Max springs out and latches onto Stocky Man's face as all hell breaks loose. My muscle memory kicks in. I slide into a low chop tackle as I had done 1,000 times to the glorious sound of full stadia chanting, Bread of Heaven! Stocky's knees go, and so does he.
Ah!
The gun falls from his grasp as we hit the slag dust. Max scarpers to safety and Stocky Man tries to retrieve the gun, but as my home rugby reflexes return to me, I ruck over and karate chop the pistol from his grasp. Just as I get to my feet and pick up the gun, floodlights and the deafening sound of a police helicopter fills the quarry, and a team of burly headleymen abseil in from nowhere. With a buzz of tasers, Lymington, the receptionist and Stocky Man are restrained and cable-tied in seconds. Peter Jennings had been good as his word. 2 days later, in Mrs. Ingram's sitting room, Max purring on my lap, Stella's relief is tangible.
Oh, Miss Price, I can't thank you enough for bringing Max back to me. I don't know what I would have done without him. And to think that you nearly met a watery grave yourself.
Well, I am partial to a wet end now and then. I suddenly remember. I must call Jenny to thank him. Oh, Stella, it feels like Max's anal retentiveness has cleared up. Sorry, Max, must cut my fingernails. But on the plus side, Stella, you won't be needing cat whisperers anymore.
Such a pity. Mr. Lymington seemed an awful nice man, and his receptionist was always so helpful.
Same old story. They were in love. They had money worries due to their lavishness, so they took to crime. I've seen it all too many times.
But how did you work it out?
I had a dream, but the scuff marks on the receptionist's shoes was the first real clue, and then everything else just fell into place after that. You see, the receptionist had a tremendous bedside manner. He was the con artist.
I know. Max adored him.
Exactly. And after shimmying over your garden fence, he took a very trusting Max back to Cats R Us, where Lymington masterminded the ransom, backed up by Mr. Maur's muscle.
And you also solved the mystery of my husband's suicide. How clever of you, Ms. Price.
Yeah, Mr. Maur was responsible for Carlos's demise as part of the great cockle wars between the cartels. I'm so sorry, Mrs. Ingram.
Don't be. Max is safe and my husband can rest in peace. Here's your payment, Ms. Price. You'll find it's all there.
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Ingram. Very generous.
No, thank you. Your hard work means I am free to love again. Astrid.
Well, yes. I'm afraid I must be going now, Mrs. Ingram.
Can't you stay for just a little bit longer?
Sorry, Welsh Cakes. I made a promise to buy dinner for an old friend. Look after Max for me. Meow. I unplug my finger, walk silently and lonelily away, leaving Stella and Max forever, knowing now that no more innocent cats will suffer and that my job is done. I didn't want to leave. That sofa provided a kind of comfort I longed for. But that's why I had to prize myself away, because out there the mean streets of Cas Newydd were calling. Meow. Brr, brr, brr.
Diolch yn fawr iawn, bawb. Thank you, everybody. You've been listening to episode 6 of Astrid Investigates, and we really hope you enjoyed it. I'm Tim Baker, the director, and the series is going down really well. We're right into the series now. We want to say thank you to everybody who's joined us each week for each new episode and for giving us some really positive feedback. Once again, a special thank you to the actors who are not in their dressing rooms. Dan, where are you again?
I'm in a port, mate. Newport.
Newport?
In my son's bedroom upstairs, like.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
Yeah.
I was just thinking as I was listening to that, how, because I'm not an actor, how do you get yourself into and out of the various voices that you play? You play so many. Do you have to kind of imagine the physical person, or is it like just a vocal trick? What's going on when you literally find yourself seeing a character's name and having to adopt that voice, that character's voice, in that split second?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I kind of don't know the answer totally. It's just something that I've sort of learnt how to do over a long time. But that's part of the reason you go to drama school and you do your training and all that. It's partly physical, even though this is a completely unphysical project. I'm sat here in front of a microphone, but there is absolutely a physical element to it.
So can you feel your body changing?
It's more to do with it, like in your mind's eye, you sort of feel the
Right.
shape of the character, and that sort of then influences the shape of your larynx and just the way the character sounds like, and it's just,
Do you?
I have no idea, to be honest. I just do it, and sometimes I do it really badly, and then I practice and hopefully get it better.
Well, then I tell you.
Yes, exactly. or the audience, or you just talk about me behind my back.
Yeah. There's something about, from my point of view, listening to actors about authenticity. You kind of go, yes, I believe that. Not in the sense that it's particularly you've met that guy or that character, but if the context is authentic, you can believe them. Then that's half the battle, I think. Just wondering, Manon, you've been consistently playing Astrid now. Can you see her?
Oh, yes. I think you have to, don't you? You visualise things. I mean, obviously, there's the graphics that are going with the series, which I don't look very much like, but it doesn't matter.
Okay.
You sort of...
You're blue, aren't you?
Don't you know?
Very blue.
Very, yes. No, I mean, yes, you do. You kind of have to be in the character and the way the character thinks. And of course, it's great when the writing is, because in this it's nice because there's lots of descriptions of where she is and what she's seeing and what she's feeling. So that's quite nice because she's got the sort of... in her head, she does her open head speak and stuff, the little monologues that help you to sort of ground her and who she is, really.
Both of you, we made a very conscious decision, Dan and I, when we were writing, not to have any sound effects so we could run live in the recordings and not have to drop in car doors and stuff. Apart from Astrid's phone, Dan, does that make life easier, or sort of conceptualizing it easier, or is that another difficulty with this way of working?
I think it makes it easier in that we are absolutely immersed in the story, in that we are producing our own sound effects. We're just saying them. I think it's easier for us to imagine where we are because we don't have all of those little accoutrements. We don't have the set. We don't have our costume. And the thing with painting those pictures, once you start to paint those pictures in production, they got to be really good pictures, or else the imaginary sort of picture isn't complete. Whereas if you have no brushstrokes at all, like in this, I'm sat in my son's bedroom staring at a foam pop shield. So, I'm able to use my imagination far more readily. So, saying sound effects it is not just the style of it now. It's kind of it's easier. It's just, I think it's just a bit of fun, and I think
it's funny. I sort of wonder whether my picture of Stakis Theodorakis is exactly the same as Dan's picture of Stakis Theodorakis, because I can see him and I can see Mam as well. So we ought to have perhaps we ought to have a game of Pictionary one day when all this is over and draw all the characters and see,
I've done
see
so
what we
much
think
stuff.
they look like.
I've done so much stuff on stage when we're asking the audience to imagine. I did a whole sequence with a huge barge on the main house in Theatre Clwyd, but the barge wasn't there. It was just a kind of skeleton. And I can tell you that every single person in that audience is seeing a different barge, and they're also seeing the same barge simultaneously. It's really interesting.
Oh, wow. I've just had an idea as well, Tim, before you go on. Like, this is a great opportunity. When we just ask the audience, like, please just comment and add, why don't you just take the opportunity to draw what you think Stakis and Bramwen and Astrid and Jennings and all of these characters. Why don't you draw what you think they look like and post them? Yeah. That would be wicked if you could post them on our Facebook page or on the YouTube channel. That'd be awesome to see what people think we look like. That'd be amazing.
Well, I've done this kind of stuff before. I found actors really, 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 not without realising it, they cling to. I would say something like, "Do you think that's the civil servant guy, Peter Jennings, has got glasses?" And you might down go, "Well, of course he's got glasses. What are you talking about?" Or not,
Yeah.
Anyway, let's remind our listeners that Astrid Investigates is a series, and each episode is very different to the last and is released weekly on Flying Bridge's YouTube channel and will later be available on paid-for platforms. By the way, if you've missed an episode, don't worry. Each episode is a self-contained story and not in a particular sequence. The next episode is number 7 and is called That Last Pint. Manon, what are we in for?
Oh, well, a bit of an amazing trip, actually. Bit of a journey. I think this is the episode that stretches the listener's imagination to the limit, in a good way, mind. I think it's you're going to have to come on a bit of a journey with us on this one.
Yeah. This one of my favourite episodes, this. And when we were writing it, when Tim and I were writing this, we'd set up all these rules in the previous ones that we were trying to use to help us write it and create it, and then by the time we got to this one, we just threw them all out the window, and hopefully it really works. I think it really works. It's pretty down to earth and basic story, and then it starts and ends in a local pub.
Hey, whoa.
Hey.
Don't give the game away, Dan. God, I wish I was in the local pub right now. Let's have a taster, guys.
Okie dokie, here we go. They were in love, Sioned and the faceless man, but they made a sacrifice because they couldn't cope with the guilt of deceiving you. That's right, innit? But then you knew that already, didn't you? Because you were there, sat nearby, hiding behind a copy of the Daily Druid. You heard every word they said, and you knew it was over, didn't you?
Yes.
But that wasn't enough for you, was it?
No, it wasn't. But how do you know all this?
Because I am Astrid Price. That's how.
And Astrid Price's journey of accusation you can discover more about in listening to the episode. Go to our YouTube channel to find out and to listen, or go to Flying Bridge's website to get details of ways you can listen. Thanks very much, and we look forward to seeing you again.
What do you reckon of that? Good laugh, innit? I hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed making it. Now, for a little bit more more campaigning, I suppose, really, I want to let you know again that we're Flying Bridge Theatre Limited. We're a small theatre company, and we we rely on you, our audience, to help us with marketing, also with donations and all of that sort of stuff. Our income has been severely, severely affected by the stages all closing, theatres closing everywhere. And we are now trying to continue to make drama, unique, bespoke drama, that we would normally have done on a stage. We're trying to put it through these little computer thingies. And in order to do that, we need to continue our income. So there will be a donate button, hopefully somewhere. Jamie, our man, he's put this magic button here on this. Or if he hasn't managed to do that, if YouTube wouldn't let him do that, maybe you could go to our website and donate through our whatever scheme we're using. It's some sort of donate scheme. The website is www.flyingbridgetheatre.co.uk. You can also help us in marketing by talking about the show, especially if you enjoyed it. Please just tell somebody, and ask them to tell somebody, because word of mouth is the most potent form of marketing that we can get. So use the hashtag. Talk about it on social media, send emails to your friends, just, this YouTube channel, tell people about this YouTube channel and ask them to subscribe, and then ask them to ask their friends to subscribe. Also use hashtag Astrid Investigates, go to our Facebook page, Flying Bridge Theatre Company. You can also, I suppose that's it really. Yeah, boring myself now. Okay, anyway, hopefully I'll see you next week. Cheers, everybody. Bye.